Hello, and welcome to the Employee Safety Podcast from Alert Media, where you'll hear advice from experienced safety leaders on how to protect your people and business. I'm Peter Steinfeld. On January 2nd, 2023, Buffalo Bills safety Damar Hamlin collapsed on the field during a road game in Cincinnati. As the nation collectively held its breath, Bills assistant athletic trainer Denny sprang into action. He quickly determined that Hamlin was experiencing cardiac arrest and worked together with an expert team of training and medical professionals to perform CPR and restore Hamlin's heartbeat. Hamlin has since made a full recovery. Denny credits his 27 years of experience practicing and executing emergency action plans for playing a key role in saving Hamlin's life. Today, Denny joins the show to share how plans, practice, trust, and teamwork come together to protect players on and off the field. Let's listen in. Hey, Denny, thank you so much for being here. As the father of a high school football player and the husband of a former athletic trainer who spent countless hours on football fields, I know personally how important your work is in keeping people safe, so I am really thrilled to have you on the show today.
Appreciate you guys allowing me to be on the show. I look forward to the conversation, and this is an honor and a privilege as well. Thank you.
For starters, I'd love to know a bit more about the team behind the team. Can you tell us about the training and medical professionals that support the Buffalo Bills?
We're very fortunate. All of us have been together for many years. I'll start off with our head athletic trainer, a great human being, great friend of mine, Nate Bresky. Our families are growing up together. We live in the same neighborhood. Our kids are similar in age. He's been here for about 7 seasons now. Dr. Les Basson is our medical director and our head team orthopedist. Dr. Feinberg is another orthopedist. And then we have Dr. Tom White, who's been here for many years. And then his assistant, Dr. Mark Kim. Again, great group of physicians that we've all gotten to know each other very well over the years. Take it a step further, our staff, Tabani Richards, one of our assistant athletic trainers, Marissa Figueroa, Joe Meek is our physical therapist. We also have Kelsey Harkins, who helped us that night. She's an athletic trainer, but she's also in our player development department. Joe Collins, he's our sports scientist. Zach Muschel is our chiropractor, also an athletic trainer. Just a good group of people that all enjoy taking care of our players. We all work extremely well together, and it's a pleasure to be able to work with these individuals and come to work every day.
That is fantastic. How do you go about coordinating efforts so everyone on the team knows their specific role when an emergency happens?
It's a great question that you ask. I want to say that it starts early on, way before the season even begins. We practice our emergency action plans. That's what we call it in the NFL, in college, and sports is emergency action plans. More importantly, we're reviewing cardiac arrest. We are reviewing exertional heat illness. We are reviewing the spinal cord injuries or even the truncal injuries or head-related traumas, the concussions. We review those during the off-season prior to training camp beginning. But more importantly, during the season, pre-game, the league has a 90-minute meeting where the emergency response physicians, the airway management physicians, and the paramedics, they all meet before we even meet at our 60-minute meeting, but that allows them to just get all on the same page. They go through their checks and balances to make sure everybody knows their roles and responsibilities. Then at the 60-minute meeting, that's when the team athletic trainers, it's usually Nate and our 2 team docs, they will meet with the visiting team or the home team, the lead referee, the spotters in the sky, the paramedics, the airway management physician. All those entities meet pregame and again, just review the emergency action plan, make sure everybody know who the code leader is, where the nearest hospital is, if there's any questions or concerns. Those are all addressed at that meeting, and it doesn't have to take a long time. Then everybody goes back and ready for the game.
Well, just like the guys that are on the field playing, they're on a team. You guys are a team. They practice before their game starts. You got to practice as well. And if nobody practices and you just show up and wing it, you're not going to have good outcomes.
Absolutely not. And all athletic trainers, physicians, we all take great pride in that preparation. Let's be honest, athletic trainers have been doing this a long time. We just happened to be on the national scene that night, but plenty of people have been making saves where they don't have, like we were supposed to be successful that night because of the amount of resources we have. But we all know athletic trainers that are out there rendering care to kids in a rural Oklahoma and making those saves. And that's the preparation that they put into day in and day out.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of incidents like that, can you tell us a bit about the emergency action plan that came into play on January 2nd, 2023, when Damar Hamlin experienced cardiac arrest?
I think we all know, just based on what has been out in public and the media, we all knew that was a dire situation. You guys could just basically tell once we got on scene that it was not your routine play, wasn't your routine injury. So we just relied on that experience. We relied on each other going through our process and our emergency response and in implementing our action plan with the assistance of the University of Hospital and their emergency team, since they were on site, since we were the visitors. And we all just worked extremely well together, just making sure we're doing the best thing for Damar at that time. And here we are today. We're just talking about the positive effects of rapid CPR, AED use, and then just the importance that anybody and everybody can do it. We just happen to do it on the national scene.
So, when it's time to engage that plan, how do the team members communicate that to each other and then get out there as quickly as possible?
Well, I mean, athletic trainers, physicians, we all communicate. If you look at us during the game, I mean, whether it's high school, college, or the pros, most of us all wear a radio with the earpiece and we're able to communicate pretty rapidly. If it's a routine football play and I need like the cart and it's just an orthopedic condition, I can call our cart guy with two ways, either over the radio to say, hey, I need the injury cart over to the sideline, or if we're on the field, most stadiums, their cart guys have access to the field. And then they can just say, okay, I need to go out to the 20-yard line, pick up the player, especially if it's not a emergency situation. And then we take him up to the locker room, take him over to x-ray. Or if the headsets break down, the simple little hand gesture is for the cart. Now you take it a step further. If it's a dire situation similar to what we have, I think seconds matter, and that all call over the radio. Some teams do an A for the ambulance or just a spine board, just a hands out. And that just sort of relays to everybody on site that the situation is a little bit more dire. Everybody needs to be on hand.
How important would you say communication is to the effectiveness of the team?
I mean, communication, I think in all industry is extremely important, especially when you're in sports, communication on the field for the players when they're running the plays. But more importantly for us, if we're ever put in those situations on an emergency situation, it's important that we have open lines of communication. That's why you rely on that practice and that preparation. So when you are put into it, you're able to sort of maintain that composure and be able to communicate well and effectively with not only your team members, but you got to remember, we were visitors. I never met those people before, and we were all able to work extremely well together based on the communication that we had that night.
I think it's fantastic that you have these backup plans. Is that something that evolved over time based on a bad experience that happened, or have you guys been doing that for years?
Personally, I've been doing that since I've been an athletic trainer from my days at Oklahoma State to Ohio State to Syracuse, and now here with the Buffalo Bills. You always have backup plans for, or contingency plans, not just for communication, but just in general as well. When you're going through your schooling or your emergency action plans, you talk about things that may or may not occur and then what you would do in those situations.
Well, serious emergencies like what the Bills experienced with Damar Hamlin can really leave a lasting impact on an organization's employee morale and mental health. Can you tell us just a little bit about how everyone pulled through that experience?
We're actually a very close organization. So that bond sort of brought us together with the brotherhood and sisterhood that we all have in this building. I think our ownership and our leadership did a tremendous job during those first couple of days. We're very fortunate that Dr. Desiree Festa is our clinical mental health specialist and mental coach. So she is on staff and is available and has always been available even before that event to be a resource, not just for the players, but the staff and the coaches. We were very fortunate that we did bring in additional grief counselors at that time if anybody needed them. Again, player, coach, staff had access. The NFL has always had a 1-800 crisis number for players if they choose to call. Some players may have done that. I don't know. That is completely private with them and the crisis number. But more importantly, I want to say that Damar's parents, Nina and Mario, did a fantastic job maintaining a positive energy. They knew he was going to pull through. And I think that confidence that they bestowed upon all of us really helped all of us really sort of move on. This is what Damar wants. He's like, hey, you guys got to get ready. By Wednesday, we're back out on the field practicing because we had the Sunday game against the Patriots. And we all know that was a successful outcome in honor of Damar and just a special celebration because the rapid recovery that he made. Again, I think Mario and Nina had a big play in that just because they gave us such positive vibes and energy.
Now, it can be really tough for the players if they don't trust that you're saying one thing, but you're doing something else. So what advice do you have for organizations that really mean these things and they're looking to build trust with their employees, or in your case, their players, to trust that you have their back and it's okay to share feelings and look out for help if they need it?
That's a great question. And I think trust is vital for what I do for a living. And I know other people have to earn the trust of their employees or the people that they're working with. Same thing here. But you got to understand, trust is not given immediately. You have to earn that over time. How do you earn trust with somebody that you just met last week? We just started an off-season training program. Well, I got to know our players on an individual basis, try to get to know them before they become injured. When we're up at the cafeteria, just sitting there talking to them as a human being rather than as a player, but as a person. These guys are fathers, they're husbands, brothers. I mean, they're just good human beings. And if you get to know them as an individual, and then they get to know me, they know that I'm a married man and I got two kids that play sports. And then I have my issues, they have their issues. And sometimes we meet at the same issue. We are able to have that small talk. And I think that just breeds that confidence. So when they do become injured, I'm going to go talk to Denny because he had my back when I first met him. And I think all of us here in this building really strive to just have that type of influence with our players. So when they do become injured or they do have an issue that they're not afraid to come speak to us.
We hear that a lot with really good safety and security professionals that listen to this show quite often. It's that the first time that they meet that person should not be when something's wrong.
That's 100%. And that's just that personal relationship that we try to have in this building and then in life in general. I think that's something I've always done.
Well, you've been doing this for a while, and I'm no spring chicken either. In the old days, football was looked at as like a tough guy sport. You didn't complain if you had physical problems, let alone mental issues that you might be struggling with. Have you seen a dramatic change in the league and on the teams and being more accepting of saying, hey, to have these guys perform at their best, we got to think not just about their bodies, but also their minds? Has it really changed over time?
You're 100%. I think the stigma of mental health has definitely subsided. Is it there where it needs to be? Absolutely not. That's why we have the resources that are available for our players. We want our players to be the best versions of themselves. And if we could do anything and everything just to help them mentally, spiritually, emotionally, whatever the case may be, we're going to try to provide that environment for them. And Buffalo is a great organization that gives us those resources for our players.
Well, what should every organization, really even those without medically trained staff, do to prepare for cardiac emergencies?
Great question. And I would say have a plan, whether it's an emergency action plan or a cardiac response plan. I think having policies and plans in place, you don't have to be emergency trained to render care to somebody. And if you have a plan in place, that's going to identify who calls 911, who gets the AED, and then who stays with the victim and then is doing CPR until that AED arrives or until the emergency response or the paramedics arrive. So I think just having a plan in place will help individuals render care. I'd rather you do something than nothing.
Mm.
Call, push. You may have to push a little longer, especially if the AED is not within 2 minutes or less. And then just keep pushing until that AED arrives. And then the machine tells you what to do. Everybody's scared to use an AED. You do not have to be certified to use an AED. The machine shows you, it tells you. Pictures on the AED pads will illustrate exactly where you need to place it. And then the machine tells you either shock is advised or no shock advised. So I think we need to really stress the importance of all organizations to have plans in place. Think about this. I remember growing up in Oklahoma, we have a fire drill, we had tornado drills, have a cardiac response drill.
How frequently do you think people should do that? Once a quarter, once a year? What's the right amount? I mean, more is always better, but
Exactly. I mean, 2 to 3 times a year wouldn't hurt because the more you review things, the more you're going to be prepared for those episodes.
And are those AEDs really easy to get now, relatively, and affordable?
They've always been easy to obtain and get. There are so many options, whether it's buying them outright, grants are available. Department of Ed has things that are available for schools to apply for and obtain. The internet, I mean, there's plenty of AED companies that are definitely jockeying for position to get their product out on the market and available to the consumers.
And is there a better place to put them in an office than maybe somewhere else?
Great question. I would say make sure they are accessible and not in somebody's office that gets under lock and key. Have them open, available, displayed by the cafeteria or in the hallway by the restroom. So where whoever's in the building, especially late at night, boom, there's the AED if something was to occur.
Well, as we start to wrap up here, are there any awareness programs that you want to highlight for our audience or final thoughts that you'd like to leave us with?
Yeah, I'm extremely excited. On April 8th, I traveled down to Oklahoma, worked with American Heart Association, came down, Senate Bill 1921, a couple days prior, passed the Senate. We were able to meet with senators and House of Representatives, and the actual law went to a vote in the House, and it passed the House for cardiac emergency response plans, and it passed 74-1 unanimously. So now that bill goes to the governor for his signature. Hopefully that occurs within the coming weeks, and that will allow all public schools and public school sponsored sporting events to have cardiac emergency response plans in place. It's a great opportunity for Oklahoma to really be out in the forefront and put youth safety at the highest level. And I'm extremely proud Oklahoman and wish nothing more for my state. So extremely proud of that. Again, the whole CPR push is phenomenal. Bystander CPR, hands only CPR, AHA, Red Cross. Everybody and anybody could take a quick course. It could either help save somebody close to your life or maybe a stranger. So I'm sure extremely proud of those two organizations. And then I'm an athletic trainer. So National Athletic Trainers Association is close and dear to my heart. So it's extremely important for everybody to know that athletic trainers are essential healthcare providers. And the theme of this past National Athletic Training Month was we treat head to toe. I think that is absolutely positively the number one thing that athletic trainers do. We take care of anything and everybody.
That's great. Yeah. I mean, my son plays football, so he sees the athletic trainer here and again. And like I said earlier, my wife was an athletic trainer for many years in Texas, where football is just a football crazy state. She saw a lot of things. I mean, I think the worst thing she ever experienced, and nowhere near what you had to deal with, it was a broken femur, which could become life-threatening very quickly.
You're 100%. Thank God she was there.
What you said also reminds me, there was an article in the local paper here in Austin about Damar Hamlin partnering up with former Westlake High School defensive lineman Matt Nader. And I believe Nader survived sudden cardiac arrest during a football game 18 years ago when a teammate's father, a cardiologist, actually raced onto the field and used an AED, which at the time was, I think, still fairly new for the public to have, to essentially shock his heart back into rhythm. Hamlin and Nader have gotten together to educate others on heart health. And I think it's really fantastic that the Buffalo Bills, Damar Hamlin, and so many others are using their platforms to turn what was a just horrible incident into a learning experience for others.
Everything that Damar is all about and using his platform to help anybody and everybody that may be affected by cardiac arrest is just phenomenal. And his passion for his foundation and just getting the word out that it is so important to have access, whether it's in the inner cities, having CPR rallies, just hands-on bystander CPR is extremely vital to anybody and everybody. And I know I've said that often, but I think it's just remarkable of everything that he's done and gone through and come through on the other side. And he's just a blessing to all of us, and just his personality shines. And we're all extremely proud of him and what his family is doing. I mean, 23,000 cardiac events happen every year. So we need that number to come down. And I think he's out in the forefront, putting his name out there and just generating positivity in regards to CPR.
Well, Denny, thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you for this time. What a great opportunity just to come on and share my story with Alert Media. What you guys do is awesome, and I just appreciate the time.
To learn more about Denny and his work with the Buffalo Bills, click the links in the show notes. For video highlights from today's episode, just search for Alert Media on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review the show wherever you get your podcasts. Stay safe out there.
Thank you for listening to the Employee Safety Podcast from Alert Media, the industry's most intuitive emergency communication and threat intelligence solution. To learn more about how to protect your people and business during critical events, visit alertmedia.com. Until next time.